Call this meeting to order of the Planning and Zoning regular meeting for December the 10th, 2025 at 6:42. Public comments, non-agenda item, public comments, white cards. Comments will be taken from the audience on non-agenda related topics for a length of time not to exceed 3 minutes per person. Agenda item, public comments, yellow cards. Comments will be taken from the audience on non-agenda items combined for the length of time not to exceed 5 minutes total per person on all items, except for public hearing. Comments on public hearing must be made when the items come before board, commission, or committee and not to exceed 2 minutes per person. No action or discussion may be taken by the board, commission, committee during public comments on non-agenda items. To address the board, commission, or committee, please complete the white or yellow card and present it to the city staff designated period prior to the meeting. Commissioners, we did receive an email. I just want to make sure you're aware of that. First, we do have one, Mr. Robert Battle.
Thank you, sir. Nice to be here. Pleasure to see you guys. In the real world, you would read the comment. That's a public comment from a person that couldn't be here. Now, I don't know if you're aware, I'm the honorary mayor of Old Manor. I have a Facebook group called Manor Community Coalition. This meeting has several illegal aspects to it. And I filed a municipal court complaint naming all you guys as being Class C misdemeanors. Now, don't get too worked up. The most you can be fined is $500, and it's a court of no record, so nobody's going to know what you say. You can say anything you want to. I ask that the city attorneys be recused because the idea of the city attorneys being the prosecutor in the Manor court of no record is completely absurd. They'll never bring a case against the mayor or the city manager or any staff members. Okay, but this one here, why are there so many things crammed on here? Does anybody really not know? It's because they're trying to cram this down our throat. Mr. Dunlap's over here. He's running the city still. Why is he sitting up at the dais? He's not on your commission. He needs to sit out here with the directors. And that goes for Mr. Scott Burrell or Mr. Mike Dunlap. Either one of them needs to sit out here with the staff. That's basically creating a false sense of power. He's the censor. You guys can't even get your own email addresses. You guys need to become a commission. That's what I'm trying to teach you. Actually, I think there's some talent up on your place that should be maybe in the city council. Cecil doesn't want to, though. Just kidding. So now here, for example, coming up is this 104 Towns. That's a historic mansion they tore down. They want to get 2 more feet in the alley. You say, no, we want to see your plan. I have a lawsuit now. There's 20 defendants and 80 attorneys against me. It's a fair fight. That building needs to be restored, or excuse me, it should have been restored or moved over by the homestead. Instead, it got torn down to put in some really exciting townhomes. The townhomes need to mimic the building they took down. It's just a skin. And if they want to try to pretend it costs $30,000, we'll pay it. Because we need to protect our landmarks, not tear them down. You guys are part of that problem because you actually approved the comprehensive plan that's been used to bulldoze all these places. This is a historic district. I don't know if you voted for it back in 2017. It's been a historic district in our codes. I understand the city council doesn't know what the phrase historic district is. They think history is putting the word Maynard Downs on the side of a warehouse. They think that's saving our history. Let's see what else we got. Okay, number 11. This developer, Mustang Valley, they're so cheap, they won't even build a water retention wall. So they let their property flood the neighbors, which brings to mind another thing. Why am I paying $6 a month for water, stormwater runoff? I haven't added any concrete. You hadn't fixed a sidewalk in here in like 80 years. So why is the whole city paying that? I'll tell you why. It's a giveaway to developers. The developers and the consultants and the bond sellers have taken over our city. And you guys are the ones that should be standing up. You're supposed to be a commission, an independent body. You're not supposed to be under the city council. But you guys just don't seem to want to read the city codes. You can have your own secretary, you can set your own agendas, and you wouldn't be sitting here cramming all this stuff down here. Number 8 and 9, 7, 6, and 7. Maynard Downs. Those should be two separate whole realms with maybe 6 weeks in between. Are you getting ready to? Thank you for waiting. Appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Robert. Moving on, public hearing. Conduct the public hearing on a subdivision concept plan amendment for Maynard Downs Industrial, being 7 lots on 146.92 acres, more or less, and being TCAD parcel 247972, 247974, 247987, 247986, 247984, 247973, 477389, 24791, and being located at 8916 Hill Lane, Maynard, Texas. Mr. Robert.
Thank you very much. This is a company that really played our town for chumps. This used to be annexed as part of Austin, and Austin was going to make them spend probably $3 or $4 million on water mitigation, environmental things. And so they got this brilliant idea. Hey, well, let's do an SB 2038, and we'll just de-annex from them, and then we'll get these people in Maynard to give us $8.5 million. You hear what I said? They went from having to pay $2.5 million or $3 million to just getting a free ride. We gave them a Chapter 380 agreement that's given them half of the property taxes back for like 25 years. So we're paying them to come destroy our landmarks. Maynard Downs, the coolest thing this city ever did. It's a gigantic stadium. Farm Aid was there, lots of great concerts. And they want to give us a little neighborhood park, a little band shell on flat land. They actually called it an amphitheater. An amphitheater? That's the kind of bozos that we have working on the city council. Now, you guys got played for chumps when you rezoned it from 4 parcels to 7. You know why they did that? Have you figured it out yet? It was so they could spin off everything below Hill Lane for a subdivision. And I remember you, Mr. Pius, you asked him, at least you're going to fix up Hill Lane, something to that effect. He lied out his rear end and told you they never planned to fix Hill Lane, ever. They spun all that onto this new subdivision they kind of accidentally talked about. And then they also tried to tell us now that the water problem, they think that this 150-year-old 29-inch heritage pecan tree is going to have a problem. The only invasive species is Dolphin Industries. Bowman, she's here tonight. She admitted, she said the water problem is from upstream. If the water problem's from upstream, you get to upstream to fix it. Don't put us on it, and if you guys read your own landmark greenbelt type things for trees, the parking is supposed to go around the trees.
Time's up, Mr. Brock.
Thank you.
City staff.
Sure. So this is being done. You have additional exhibits. that also on the presentation, showing the change specific to the lot. So it is the proposed parkland lot. So there's always been a lift station on the property on the southwest corner of it. And through sort of discussions and working through this, we wanted, the lift station not to be on the city lot. So there wasn't this, any issues with like it being owned by the city but maintained by the development, as it is a private lift station. And so this amendment to the concept plan and later to the preliminary plat are just sort of notching out the corner of that potential parkland lot or future city lot. Again, the lift station's always been there, so that land wasn't necessarily developable for the city because the lift station was there. It always was proposed to be there. But this just takes it and puts it onto the developer's property versus being on the city's property. And if you have additional questions, I'll be happy to answer them. And again, the developer's here too if you have questions for them. And also, when you get to the action item, there's a development agreement on this property that has the prior exhibit in it that doesn't show the little notch out in the corner. And so that will have to be amended and just updated the agreement, the development agreement. And so this concept plan has been approved by our engineer, so it is able to be approved by you all tonight. But we're just asking for that conditional approval pending the development agreement being amended.
Any questions, commissioners? No questions. Entertain a motion to close public hearing.
I move we close the public hearing on item 1.
I have a motion by Commissioner Seckles. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Neela. All in favor? Opposed? Conduct a public hearing on a subdivision preliminary plat for Maynard Downs Industrial, being 7 lots on 146.92 acres, more or less, and being TCAP Purcell 247972, 247974, 247987, 247986, 24794, 2477973, 477389, 247991, and being located at 8916 Hill Lane, Maynard, Texas. Mr. Robert Battle.
Thank you, sir. My name's Robert Battle. Let's talk a little about the problems with these ongoing meetings. Any presentation materials need to be brought forth at every single meeting you have. You don't get to do a presentation on meeting 1 and not do it on meeting 2, 3, 4, 5. You understand? That's a breaking of the law. Now, when you guys also did this, you failed to perform mandatory duties, Penal Code 39.04. You did an abuse of official capacity. Under $100, that's Penal Code 39.02. The heritage tree is protected by multiple mandatory ordinance, including a topographic and tree survey, constraints exhibits. Basically, what they did is, before we ever annexed it, they were required to have a completed plan. They never had a completed plan. They still don't have a completed plan. Have you seen a landscape plan? Do you really think a gigantic tree is equal to a 2-inch tree planted around a warehouse box? Hey, let's go look at those trees by the warehouse. No. And respectfully, sir, we have a commercial park out here. Maynard Commercial Park is almost halfway to Elgin. That's for those big, ugly boxes. That's where they go. And you need to go there. We can trade you some land. We have another development, East Development 1. I know, a creative name, right? How about we do a land swap with you for like 80 acres over there? Those boxes are going to be run by robots. Does anyone in this room really not think that? You have this nonsense. Oh, we're going to create a lot of jobs. Baloney. Trees in the floodplain are protected regardless of species. Floodplain protection, section 1503.034H. Streetscape protection. Streetscape trees shall be protected. I think it's 150 feet back from the road. Protected. That doesn't mean bulldozed. Design integration requirement. Protected trees must be integrated into the site design.
Time's up, Mr. Robert.
Thank you. Gosh, it goes fast, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. Mr. Scott.
Sure. So this is the same property, same project. Again, there's notching out the corner where the lift station is proposed, so that way it's on a property that's owned by the developer and not owned by the city.
Any questions, commissioners? Entertain a motion for public hearing number 2.
I move that we close comments for public hearing number 2.
I have a motion by Commissioner Neela. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Meyer. All in favor? Opposed? Conduct a public hearing on a subdivision preliminary plat for Manor Heights Phase 6 being 12 lots on 47.66 acres, more or less, and being TCAP parcel 236952 and 902644, also known as 13201 Oak Kimbrough Road, Manor, Texas. I do have Savannah.
I apologize. My comments are for number 4.
Okay. Ms. Donna?
Similarly, I
Oh.
intended to speak on 4. Thank you.
Mr. Scott?
Sorry. Trying to set the alarms.
Sure. So this preliminary plat is a revision on a previously approved preliminary plat. So they're reducing one of the lots. So it's going from 13 lots to 12, but that's because they're combining 2 lots. So it was previously 2 smaller lots, and then it's going to be 1 larger lot, 1 8-acre one. So yeah, it's on the exhibit there. You can see there's the pad sites at front 290, the 5 pad sites there on the west side of that future road. And that large rectangular box above was 2 lots, and now it's supposed to be 1 large lot.
Mr. Dunlop, do either of those lots have entitlements that are different from the entitlements of the lots at the front on the street frontage? Like, are those allowed for self-storage or any other non-revenue use?
Those lots are the same. That self-storage restriction was further back. It might have already applied to those 2 lots. There's no that requirement to, if self-storage was to be allowed, was further back into the commercial area, more off of Old Kimbrough.
Old
there.
Kimbrough? Okay.
Yeah.
Where that remediation was? The other parcel? The
Yes.
other section?
Yeah, the floodplain and that remediation. Yes. That's
Okay.
right, yeah.
This is C2 or C1? This is C2 with restrictions, I believe, correct?
Yeah. So it's C1 and C2 under the PUD,
Okay.
with a couple uses excluded, I believe.
Any more questions, commissioners?
I move to close the public hearing on this item.
I have a motion by Commissioner Meyer. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by Commissioner Stetson. All in favor? Opposed? Conduct a public hearing on rezoning application amendment for the Manor Heights subdivision, approximately 1,655 lots on 548.5 acres, more or less, and being located at the northeast corner of US Highway 290 and Oak Kimbrough Road, Maynard, Texas, for planned unit development to planned unit deployment. Ms. Savannah, just state your name for us.
Hi, yeah, my name is Savannah Lunskow. I'm here on behalf of me and my fiance, Daniel Morell, who are residents of Carolyn, and we happen to be on William Tyler Way, just bordering that floodplain. And I'm here tonight because a kind neighbor of ours informed us about this notice that we got in the mail. And I think that a lot of us that are here tonight from our neighborhood are still trying to understand the difference between proposing planned unit development to planned unit development, what the difference is between that, and that there's no plans here other than where our neighborhood currently exists or what will be built is going to happen. Myself, along with a few people in attendance this evening, live on lots that we paid a premium for, and there's a floodplain behind us. And the concern is that we're now going to have buildings behind us. So a lot of us are here to try and find out more information about what that means, and what that means for us and what is in it for us if that's the case, because we have no one behind us and we built our homes there with the intention that this would not be zoned for residential and or commercial use.
Unfortunately, we can't respond, but yeah, we heard you. We have Ms. Donna.
My name is Donna Bromfield Day. Thank you for letting me speak. I'll start by pointing to the obvious. Traffic in Manor is already untenable. Our infrastructure is woefully inadequate for the already existing development we have. If this is expected, anticipated, what kinds of infrastructure investments and improvements can we expect so that life here can continue to be, Manor can continue to be truly livable? I would also echo Savannah's concern that we were told with what appeared to be a high degree of certainty that paying a premium for a lot that looks back on the Greenbelt because it was not going to be developed, that those claims were actually being made in good faith. Now it appears there's an adverse impact likely on our property values, and we're locked in to paying higher mortgages as a result. I don't know if this proposal is truly a proposal or if this impending development is a done deal, but I would urge you to consider the needs of the existing homeowners and the adverse impacts that are threatened to us. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a, please don't forgive me if I mess this up, PIORTR.
Peter Zalewski.
Hello, I'm new here, and I am Piotr Zalewski. I'm the owner on William Tyler Way, and I oppose this rezoning for two reasons here. One is the Four Stars flood history in their Barrington subdivision. All 283 homes flooded during Hurricane Harvey. Homeowners had sued, claiming that Four Star knew the flood risk, but they did not disclose it. Secondly, there were smaller homes concerns, reducing from 1,500 to 1,000 square feet. That changes the neighborhood's character and property values. Travis County ranks in the top 10% for flood damage nationally. Please deny this rezoning and development. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Ms. Linda Nampson. Please forgive me for messing.
Hi, my name is Linda. Thank you for letting me speak. I also live on William Tyler Way. I also paid premium for my lot so that I wouldn't have a neighbor. I'm new to Manor. I've only been here a year. This was attractive to me because I didn't want neighbors. Now there's an understanding that we could possibly build houses back there. We paid premium for these lots. Are we going to be reimbursed for these lots that we paid premium price for so that we wouldn't have neighbors? When you start building smaller homes, you're going to devalue all these larger homes. That's another concern of mine, is we're paying premium price for our homes, and then you're going to build 1,000 square foot homes, and you may or may not get good, reputable people in those homes. And then what is that going to do to our neighborhood? We already have problems with parking. I just worry about what it's going to do to the neighborhood in general. That's my concern. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Fernando.
Hi, my name is Lasat Fernando. This is my neighbor, Martin Rotman. I'm speaking on behalf of two other neighbors that unfortunately could not make it here tonight. Our concerns are a little more specific. We looked at the preliminary layout uploaded by the developer for phase 8. Between phase 8 and phase 3 on the easternmost corner, there is actually a creek that is functioning as a natural drainage channel, and it did a lot of heavy lifting in the last spring when we had those massive rains. And yes, its efficiency is currently being strained. We actually had the city engineer Pauline come take a look, and she also acknowledged that this creek is very much necessary. So we were a little bit concerned because it was not marked on that map, because per that map it's going to have single family homes developed all the way to that edge. So we urge you to reject this map as is and request an amendment allowing some more space between those, or ideally removing that very eastern row of houses together entirely on that side of that road. But at the very least, the creek and some space would be great, because we are very, very concerned about the flooding. It's kind of very borderline manageable right now, and having an extra set of houses there that's going to have more draining into that that creek is definitely going to make it overflow. So yes, and we're assuming, of course, they don't block that creek entirely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Rotman, is that you? Yeah. Would you like to speak? Or
sure.
Okay.
I'm Dr. Martin Rotman. I am also living in that area around the 3rd division over there. And I echo my neighbors' comments and concerns about the risk of blocking that creek at this moment. The PUD, the development proposal, allows for a space over there to be houses to be built straight into and up into the edge of that creek, and halfway into the creek. And we request the committee to reject and ask that amendment in that space. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Scott.
Sure. So this rezoning. It is an amendment to the existing PUD, and so that's why the notice says it's rezoning PUD to PUD, just because it's the zoning change. It's not going from commercial to residential or anything like that. It's just PUD to PUD when they get amended. And so what this amendment is doing, as some residents had said, it is reducing the minimum dwelling unit size for a portion of the subdivision, so that the areas that are affected by this amendment are sections 4, 5, 7, and 8. So they're all on the west side of Liberty Bell. So if you're on the east side of Liberty Bell, so they're on William Tyler, that's already built out. It doesn't necessarily affect that area. And there's plans to develop the floodplain behind those houses. So that is floodplain that's actually, I believe, been dedicated to the city. So those areas that you've paid a premium for, there's no lots, there's no development happening behind you. It's all on existing lots that are platted. So again, in those sections 4, 5, 7, and 8 that are already platted or in the process of being platted for sections 7 and 8, those lots, I believe if they're like 50-foot or 60-foot wide lots, right now the minimum dwelling unit size, so the conditioned space or your heated and cooled space, is 1,500 square feet. And this amendment, I know it's small on the TV screens up there, it allows the developer to reduce the dwelling unit size, and for every 100 square feet of conditioned space, they reduce it down to 1,000 square feet. They have to increase their exterior front facade masonry by 10%. So right now, what's required in the Caroline subdivision for the single family lots is a minimum 1,500 square foot conditioned space house with 30% front masonry. And what's proposed is to go down to potentially 1,000 square foot home that has, I believe it's 60% masonry or 70? 70, thank you. So there's some sort of, aesthetics and value there. But the developer, they came to us and said, the market's changing and they wanted to explore this option. We worked with them to put the limits, and so they are limited to 20% within each size category, within each phase. So, someone scroll a little bit. So section 5, for example, has 195 lots on it. And so within each of those 20% categories, that's 39 houses. So, of the 195, you'd have 39 houses that are 1,000 to 1,100 square feet. So in total, in that phase, for instance, of the 195 houses, 156 could be below 1,500 square feet if they all met that 20% maximum that's proposed with this PUD amendment. So it isn't saying that 100% of the houses that can be built are going to be at 1,000 square feet. There are, we worked with them to have some guardrails, buffers on the maximum amount, and the percentages within each of those home sizes within those two sections that are still adding houses. So again, it wouldn't be for phases 2 and 3. It's just for the continued build outs of 4, 5, 7, and 8. And then, Commissioner, if you have any questions, be happy to answer them.
Any questions, commissioners?
I know this is related to the business. This is also mimicked in the business item later on in the agenda, but on that table that you're referencing on the back, on the staff recommendation down on page 2, that side, the far right column, it says the total number of dwelling units per section below. The current 16 square foot dwelling unit minimum, is that you're talking about? So there'd be so let's take section 4A, which I thought was largely completed. So I'm surprised to see this here, but 160 lots would be required to be above the 1,500 square foot minimum, correct? Or below?
So the section is pretty much built out, but the way it's worded, it's just by the total number in the section.
Yeah.
So section 4A has 198 lots in it.
Correct.
And on the table, the 160 represents pretty much 80% of what's there. So that's saying that 80% of the houses, should this be approved,
are required to be above the 1,500 minimum.
They could be below. So that's what's saying how many houses could be below, because it's 20% in each category, and so on that table it says you could have 40 houses.
So it makes it and this is excluding the medium density lots, though.
Right.
were
Yes.
already approved through multiple amendments, including moving the garages to the front, which everybody in the audience and community know I was not so happy to see. But sorry, I don't know how you do a rear load garage on a front load garage on a 30-foot wide house, but that's another story for another day. But so this is in addition to those amendments to that medium density section that's created parking pockets and other things in the neighborhood that were not part of the original plat.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. This doesn't affect the medium density lots, which
Okay.
there's one that's built now that would be townhomes or is built as townhomes. It's a private lot across from the amenity center.
Yeah.
But the other two sections of medium density lots, which in total have 169 of those lots are 40-foot wide within the medium density. Those don't have dwelling unit.
So this
Minimums.
would add 576 to the existing 169 homes that are already medium density for the neighborhood that are designed to meet the diversity goals for the neighborhood originally in the PUD.
This would have, if it were approved, 576 houses out, potentially 576 that are below 1,500 square feet.
Okay.
That doesn't include the 169 for the medium density, where again, there's no dwelling unit size minimum. But as you mentioned before, Section 4 is pretty much mostly built out.
Okay.
So it may not actually
Sorry.
be that many houses.
And
but
I
yeah.
probably should reserve any other questions for the business section, but thank you so much for the clarification, staff.
Yeah.
Any more questions, commissioners?
I move we close the public hearing on item. I'm so sorry.
Number 4.
Item 4.
Have a motion to close public hearing on item number 4 by Commissioner Stetson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Neela. All in favor? Nays? Consent agenda. All of the following items on the consent agenda are considered to be self-explanatory by the Planning and Zoning Commission and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussions of these items unless requested by the chairperson or a commission member, in which the event of the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Consider discussion and possible action to approve the minutes for November the 12th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission regular session. No.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
it was brought to my attention that the third item down underneath the staff, city staff who was in attendance at this meeting, it says Assistant City Attorney, and Ms. Page is our attorney, and so assistant needs to be stricken. If you would please include that in your motion.
Commission, I move approval of the consent agenda with the amendment that we strike assistant from Ms. Page Sines' title on page 1.
I have a motion by Commissioner Stetson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Neela. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Regular agenda, consider discussion and possible action on subdivision concept plan amendment for Maynard Downs Industrial, being 7 lots on 146.92 acres, more or less, and being TCAP parcel 247972, 247974, 247987, 247986, 247984, 247973, 477389, 247991, and being located at 8916 Hill Lane, Maynard, Texas. Commissioners, we do have Mr. Tim Grafton's here and Maggie here to speak on this. Catherine.
Good evening, Commission. Tim Crafson, Dolphin Industrial. I just put my name down to answer questions if anybody has any questions.
Mr. Scott.
Sure. So as discussed in the public hearing, they're just amending the future city lot to notch out the corner to put the lift station on their private property since it's a private lift station. That way it's not on the city's own property and then having to do license and maintenance agreements and all that. Like it's a little easier down the line to say, like, hey, it's on your property, it's yours. And again, the lift station's always been proposed to be there. So when it was, one larger lot without the, lift station notched out on it, the lift stations are still going to be there. And that was what was approved through the development agreement through various concept plans as we went along. So they're not adding it there and then asking for this change. Like it's always been proposed to be there. We're just sort of cleaning up some of the ownership on it.
Just for my curiosity, are they're being serviced by City of Austin, by Austin Water, or by another water utility service, not City of Maynard Water, correct?
It'll be Maynard Water.
Oh, okay. But it'll be your commercial, or it'll be a commercial lift station that'll eventually.
That lift station is Maynard Sewer.
Okay.
And we will be Manville Water. Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Okay, so it's like half and half. You
Yeah.
take and you give. That's interesting. But thank you. All right, that helps me understand. So this is for your effluent, or this is for your intake, the lift station? Oh, duh, it would be for effluent.
Yeah,
It's so you can send it to us. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Sure. And then if I may, our engineers have approved it. So this is a subdivision, so it's non-discretionary. So I recommend approval. But as mentioned before, it's have to concur with some exhibits in the development agreement, which will come probably next month to City Council. So we're just asking for a conditional approval pending those development agreement amendments.
Any more questions, commissioners? May I receive a motion for regular agenda item number 6?
I move approval of item 6.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Stetson. Do I have a second?
Sorry, do you want to add the condition? Just the.
I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna go to the summary form because it'll be easier that way.
Summary form wasn't up.
Oh, it doesn't even have it.
Yeah.
I move approval of item 6 pending the. I'm so sorry. Hold on. Staff, what is happening in what's happening with council? They're going to be amending or updating the development agreement.
Yes. Yeah. There's exhibits within the development agreement regarding this property.
Okay.
And so we just need the development agreement to concur with, what's transpiring tonight.
Right now,
so,
ours would be in conflict with the development agreement if we approve tonight. All right.
Yes. Just approve
We're
with the condition.
forward-looking as a commission.
Yes.
All right. Commissioners, thank you, staff, for that. Commissioners, I move approval of item 6, pending the modification to the development agreement for this parcel, or this development.
I have a motion by Commissioner Stetson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Neela. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Consider discussion and possible action on subdivision preliminary plat amendment for Maynard Downs Industrial, being 7 lots on 146.920 acres, more or less, and being TCAD parcel 247972, 247974, 247987, 247986, 247984, 247973, 477389, 247991, and being located at 8916 Hill Lane, Maynard, Texas. Commissioners, the same folks are still here for those questions needed. Mr. Scott.
Yep. So this is the preliminary plat following that concept plan. Same thing. Engineers have approved this, so as a non-discretionary item, you're able to approve it, and again with the condition pending the development agreement modification.
Any questions, commissioners? Any questions? Do I have a motion?
Here we go. I move approval of item 7 on the condition of the adjustment of the development agreement to for the Maynard Downs project.
I have a motion by Commissioner Stetson. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Meyer. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Considering discussion and possible action on subdivision preliminary plat for Manor Heights Phase 6 being 12 lots on 47.66 acres more or less and being TCAP parcel 236952 and 902644, also known as 13201 Old Kimbrough Road, Maynard, Texas. Mr. Scott.
Yes. So this plat, it has been approved by our engineers. So we're seeking approval on the non-discretionary item. This is a revision to a previously approved plat where they're combining 2 lots. So it's going from 13 lots down to 12, but it's making one large, I think it's an 8.5 acre lot for commercial development.
Any questions, commissioners? Any questions? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve this item.
I have a motion by Commissioner Meyer. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Neela. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Considering discussion and possible action on a rezoning application amendment for the Manor Heights Caroline subdivision, approximately 1,655 lots on 548.5 acres, more or less, and being located at northeast corner of US Highway 290 and Old Kimbrough Road, Maynard, Texas, from planned unit development to planned unit development. Mr. Scott.
Sure. So again, this one is allowing a reduction in the dwelling unit size, the conditioned space or heated and cooled space, from a range. So right now the requirement is 1,500. They can go down to 1,000 square feet for sections 4, 5, 7, and 8, the single family lots within those sections. But each of those dwelling unit size categories or ranges is limited to 20% within each section that they're in. And then, as was discussed before, this doesn't apply to the medium density. Those 40-foot lots that were created, those are just limited to overall density. There isn't a dwelling unit requirement on those, dwelling unit size requirement thing.
Is the applicant here? Engineer. They never send people that know. Do you know much? He usually does come, to be fair. Yeah. Well, he's usually not prepared to answer our questions either. I do have a question though.
Just state your name.
Please state
and
your
who
name.
you
Sure.
are.
Sarah Starkey with Kimley Horn.
Thank you. Hi, Ms. Starkey. Can you speak to the dwelling unit sizes that are letted for? And I understand you're for 4-star. You don't necessarily control what happened to the property. Well, you're with Kimley Horn, who develops or designs for 4-star, who then sells the lots to builders who then build these properties based on their plans. So 3 people down the line, we kind of end up with these lot sizes. But are you aware of what the dwelling unit sizes are for the areas of this that I brought up earlier, the medium density portions of these phases?
Yeah, so the amendment to the PUD does not apply to the medium density since
I'm
it's
aware.
Okay. Sorry.
So
Maybe I'm not following.
what are the sizes of those homes that are in the medium density
medium
area? Are you
density-
aware of those square footages that are in those areas?
I am not
Okay.
because it's still under construction right now, just on the civil side. So no homes have been built yet.
Okay. Is your applicant amenable to 5% limits for each category?
I believe the discussion was 20% was what they were coming in hopeful with. And that was really just coming at it from an affordability standpoint. From the feedback they've gotten from home builders is that they really need a more affordable product out here. And that's about the limit of my knowledge. I don't know if Scott had further.
These homes are selling for $100,000 less than they were 2 years ago. So I'm a little, and I know that one of the builders that is in the neighborhood has brought in a different product line. DRB has brought in a different product line to meet that change in scope. And I'm trying to figure out how smaller homes on lots on lots that are still 60 feet or 50 feet wider is going to satisfy that need. Especially when you have Four Star developing. There's 3 other neighborhoods that Four Star has in our jurisdictional limits right now.
I can't speak to the home builder side because I don't get involved on that side per se. But what I can speak to is that the reduction in the dwelling unit size, the caveat was then the increased masonry requirements. Yeah. And that, per my understanding, had been done on previous development agreement, or excuse me, the reason it was brought into the PUD is to be consistent with the development agreement. And so it had been discussed I believe in other developments around here when this idea had been brought up. This was kind of the switch off, was capping the maximum unit percentage, excuse me, and then increasing the masonry requirements.
Mr. Dunlop, you were here when this PUD was originally brought forward in 2017 or 18. The phase two had a higher limit. The masonry requirement was reduced after phase 2 was completed. Is that correct?
After phase 1, so 2 through now.
Okay,
8.
so this PUD has had lower masonry requirements for its existence.
Yes.
Okay. And those are like 30%?
It's 30%. And if I could, what Ms. Starkey was talking about, Monarch Ranch, they did this. They went from 1,700 down to 1,300 as their minimum, I believe.
Yes.
And the same thing. And it's actually based off a section within our code, because when the state limited our city's ability to regulate masonry, we wrote into our zoning code that
for
you
PUD
could
agreements.
Yeah, so for areas not like within the historic district where we can regulate masonry, if you wanted to reduce your dwelling unit size, that was allowable through an agreement approved by council. But for every 100 square feet you reduced your dwelling unit size, you had to
increase it by
have 10% of exterior masonry. And so again, what we did with Monarch Ranch and what's proposed today here with Carillon, Manor Heights, it is based off that section of our code where it sort of allows the reductions in dwelling unit with increases in masonry. But with it being a PUD, you have the discretion to set those numbers where you feel are appropriate.
Are we authorized to deny?
Yes, this is a discretionary item.
Okay.
And then the recommendation would go to City Council and for their
consideration.
Consideration. Yeah.
Okay. So they're applying this. They're casting an envelope to allow for sections 4A and 4B, which are, as we've stated here during the public hearing portion, are largely platted and under construction or fully completed. Does that allow for them to kind of have a cumulative, or is it limited per area? So the 20% is per phase, correct? They'd be capped per phase.
Yes.
They wouldn't be able to take and cash those in or bank them and then take them over to phase 6 or phase 5.
No, the way we put it in there was a note saying that it was based on the number of single family lots within that phase. So so they couldn't say, hey, we built a ton of 1,800 square foot homes in section 2, so we can fill all of section 8 with 1,000 square foot homes. It's based on the number of lots within that section, and then again they're 20% within each category.
Okay.
Mr. Scott, I have a question. So, hearing from our community members, when they're buying these homes and these developers are promising these things, and then we have another developer come in, same developers coming and telling these people, hey, you got this land that's not going to be behind you, and now he's coming and turning around and putting a home where he's done told community members there wasn't going to be. How does that work?
The developer, they're still the landowner. You know, they're able to make these requests. So it is just up to you all as the planning commission and then ultimately city council to hear that and make decisions on it. But there's nothing that prevents them from filing these applications and working with it.
And I think for clarification, the area that the neighbor spoke of tonight is in a floodplain and in an open space, correct?
Yes, and that's
the
not
area-
proposed to change. There's nothing happening in floodplains or behind those houses on William Tyler.
Yeah. I am confused why the city parkland is bisected between phases 3 and 8 and not contiguous. Ms. Gray, are you able to speak to that?
I mean, I can.
Or
speak to
can you speak to that too? Hi,
Yeah.
engineer, applicant engineer, city engineer. Yeah.
So that was amended with the PUD in, I believe, last October, November. It was sometime in 2024, and so it was approved at that P&Z and then approved at that council that the parkland was going to be added because phases 7 and 8 were added to the overall development because the developer did not previously own those parcels, but it was part of the original development agreement.
I mean, it was like the Nagel Estates. It was just kind of sitting there. But I'm asking, like, why, when you platted it, this is a plat map, correct? Or is this a
This is
concept
just
plan?
this is just the zoning, just the PUD.
Just the zoning.
Yes.
I'm trying to figure out why you would not have the 2.77 acres in the northwest corner of 3 contiguous with a 1.51 that's kind of squeezed in right next to the 4-lane median divided highway on the other side. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that a trail, or I mean, it's not marked as a trail. I'm just trying to figure out why that's not. Why don't we just make it like 3 acres or 4 acres? I don't know. Make it a little park. Like you have green, and you have a really weird fence all of a sudden, caused by not nature, and then you're going to have a little green sliver to throw a ball next to a 4-lane divided highway. Mm-hmm. Is that the design that's the design that I see, right?
Yeah. So I can't speak to that because that wasn't. I mean, I understand the PUD is open for interpretation right now in totality. That was not the intent of amending this PUD. It was previously brought in to the PUD that way.
Okay.
But I understood on your concern.
Thank you.
And I am happy to talk to the developer about that. It's not. I think it would be something they'd be happy
amenable
to discuss
to
further. Yeah.
figuring out. All right. Thank you.
Of course.
Any more questions, commissioners? No more questions. Do we have a motion?
Okay. Commissioners, I move we deny item 9.
I have a motion to deny item 9. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Commissioner. I'm sorry. I have a motion to deny by Commissioner Stetson. I have a second by Commissioner Neela. All in favor? Opposed? Motion denied. Considering discussion and possible action on paving variance for the 104 East Town Street alleyway. Mr. Scott.
So this property, it is up by Jenny Lane Park. So there was previously a home there that was removed. So for future development, and part of that, we've been working with the developer, property owner about having rear-loaded dwelling units. And so right now it's proposed to be, 3 townhouses and a duplex of 5 units. which all is allowed by the zoning, and that's all good. But given the spacing, having front loaded driveways is challenging, so we've been working with them on rear loaded drives. But we do obviously have a challenge with our alleys that a lot of our utilities are there, especially the overhead electric, so there's poles. Our standard alley requirement is 14 feet wide, and then some amount of sub base to it. It's not the same as a street standard, but it is a little bit better than just throwing asphalt on the good dirt. But it does require 14 feet of pavement. But given the conflicts with some of the poles, you may see in your backup, or if you can see it on screen, there's a little jog in that alley there. It's sort of snaking around one of those telephone poles. And so they're requesting to go down to 12 feet so they can accommodate the paving that helps to have their dwelling units rear loaded.
And this will go from Lexington to, what is this street right here?
Burnett?
Towns.
Yeah.
It's on Towns.
Towns is in the front.
This street.
Lexington is right here. Because
Burnett?
it's the corner. It's the corner house, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
But it will go all the way through paved, correct?
Yes, as you're seeing it here, it is
Okay.
paving all the way through. Yes.
Is it my understanding that this would be city maintained? So if that's the case, if the utilities in question were to be future relocated, that the paving could be then expanded or widened?
Yes, yeah, we don't have a policy or procedure right now that requires, property owners or developers who improve our alley that they have to be the ones to maintain it. So yes, it would be, the alley is owned by the city, so right now it just would be maintained by the city. And so yes, we could go back in the future if the utilities are relocated. We can increase the size of it if we felt that was necessary.
Could this perhaps even reduce maintenance costs for the city?
Yes,
paving?
it would be less pavement. So if the 12-foot works, and maybe we update our standard if it's functional and
versus a washout of the current. There's gravel there right now, right? Or it's just.
I'm not sure. Some alleys throughout time, people have put down some base and added some things. Some people just drive through it, and it just happens to be the dirt, and grass and
Them being city maintained doesn't mean that we're necessarily actively they're not part of the street maintenance plan.
Not streets. They get mowed.
Okay.
So if the surrounding property owners are maintaining it more frequently, the city does have them on a mowing schedule. So they come through a couple times a year to mow the alleys.
We have any more questions, commissioners? No more questions. We have a motion for regular agenda item number 10.
I'll move that we approve item number 10.
I have a motion by Commissioner Meyer. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Stetson. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Consider discussion and possible action on subdivision final plat for Holly Smith Mustang Valley Phase 2 being on 112 lots on 28.614 acres more or less, and being generally located near the intersection of Virgil Arbor Lane and Trotting Mare Lane, Maynard, Texas. Mr. Scott.
So this plat, it has been approved by our engineers, so we are recommending approval. It is a non-discretionary item as subdivision, and it is the second of 3 phases for the Mustang Valley / Holly Smith development up there by the senior high school.
So we have to accept the street name as presented?
Yes.
Okay.
The city council has a policy on renaming streets. If they wanted to
Can they?
investigate that after it is dedicated to the city, they have a process for that.
Okay.
Do we have any questions, commissioners?
Who came up with Glory Grotto Drive?
The developer does that, and then they get approved by the city of Austin.
Thank you. Glory Grotto Drive is the name of the street that we're being. Glory Grotto. I'm sorry.
Any more questions, commissioners? Any more questions? Do I have a motion for regular agenda item
I
number 11?
reluctantly move approval of item 11.
I have a motion by Commissioner Stetson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Neela. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. I move to have a motion for adjourning the meeting at 7:47 p.m.
I move that we adjourn.
I have a motion by Commissioner Neela. Do I have a
I
second?
second.
All in favor? Opposed?